Well, so before I start, I just want to preface by saying what I'm going to talk about is probably things that y'all already know very well, and you're going to say, oh yeah, Andrew, we already knew that. But this is hopefully a cool way to kind of show that what we do in the LARP world really does work, and we like test it empirically, like experiment and it really work. I'm also very new to the LARP world. I attended Knutpunk for the first time last year, and just fell in love. I love this world, and I really love you guys. I appreciate you. So, anyways, without further ado, we will jump in. So, to give you an idea of what we're doing here, so the main topic is looking at like theme, narrative, and like creating new immersive worlds for summer camps in a summer camp setting. And the theoretical underpinnings, like Rebecca mentioned, is in this theory of structured experiences, which is a theory that was created by my advisor, Dr. Gary Ellis is his name, at Texas A&M. And it just kind of puts structure around this word of experience, because experience has become a very big buzzword, and kind of tries to define, as I guess everyone has tried to do, but define words like engagement and immersion and other things like that, which, anyways, we won't go there. So that's kind of where a lot of this is based. It also comes a lot from The Experience Economy, which is a book that was originally written in 1999 that talks about this idea of essentially elevating services that we offer to, in my opinion, just add like some pixie dust is kind of what we call it, to elevate normal services to an experience. So you've got an organization who offers a summer camp service, right, where you drop your kids, they go and they have this summer camp, whatever the service. There's counselors and there are people that take care of them, they've got a house, etc. But what can we do to elevate that experience of going to summer camp to make it more memorable? And essentially some of the things we looked at in this study were how can we make summer camp a place that's not only memorable, but that kids will go home and they'll tell their siblings about it, they'll tell their friends about it, they'll tell their families, all kinds of other people about this camp because it was such a memorable experience that they just want to shout from the rooftops, how great summer camp was. And that was originally kind of what happened, is that we got approached by this residential summer camp, a 4-H organization in Texas. I don't know, maybe this is the same everywhere, but in Texas there are so many summer camps. Just so many. Everyone goes to camp every summer, hands down. Lots of them are like Christian-related camps, but 4-H is more like an agriculture-type organization, although their camp isn't ag-related necessarily. Anyways, but they kind of approached us and said, we really are having a hard time bringing in kids because there's so many camps and it's such a competitive market for summer camp that we need to do something to essentially elevate the quality of the experiences that we offer, but we don't have any money. We can't buy a lot of stuff, which I think is often the case with most camps. There are some that are a little fancier and have a lot of money. But they have to do a lot with a little, essentially. And so we decided to come in, and in the experience economy, one of the first things they talk about in experience design or creating memorable experiences is using a theme. And so I kind of thought this was a good way to start to introduce LARP to this summer camp without actually telling them. And for future research, we'll get in. They're going to be LARPing in no time. They're going to have but we wanted to introduce a theme and a narrative and create like a small new immersive world for these camps. So what we decided to do is we had 3 different camps that we worked with, or 3 different camp sessions, I should say. So one was just a normal camp session. We didn't change anything about it. So they just went along and did everything as normal. One of them was a partially new immersive world, and we did that by just creating a narrative. So there were no tangible props or anything. It was just a narrative that we created. Each of the activities at camp had its own narrative inside of this big narrative. And then the third camp was fully themed, or it was more immersive. And we had the same narratives, but we also included like tangible props. So there were signs, we had people wearing costumes, we had the kids in costumes, we had different like trinkets and things that they were interacting with. So we had these 3 different things. One thing that, and then we'll talk about a little bit later, but that was important to designing the new immersive worlds was that we got the camp counselors very early on in order to kind of get them to buy in and really participate, is we had them create the immersive worlds and the narratives around it. So during the first week of their training, we went up to their training in Brownwood, and we essentially said, kind of laid out the idea, and then we had them just brainstorm and work together, and they created the overarching world that we were going to be in. And then they broke off into their 8 groups, so there's 8 different activities, normal camp activities like archery and riflery and fishing and stuff like that. They broke off into their 8 groups, and they designed mini worlds that fit inside of this world. And I think that was really important because it's often easy for us to go in as organizers or people who think we know what we're doing, right? We say, hey guys, we're gonna create this awesome themed experience for the campers, and then they don't really like the idea, or it wasn't theirs, or we thought it was awesome and it was crap, right? So anyways, that was really important, is to get buy-in from the counselors, from the staff to help us create some of these new immersive worlds, which is really awesome. Participants that were at the camp, we had a pretty wide range of people, which wasn't ideal. I would have liked to maybe have something a little bit more specific, but they ranged from 8 to 17 years old, so it was a pretty wide range of kids. But we gathered a whole lot of observations from them. It was really great. And we were essentially looking at, first of all, how does a new immersive world affect these individual experiences, like just the riflery experience or just the fishing experience? Then second, how do those individual experiences lead to an overall camp experience, like over the 3 or 4 days? How does that affect that? And then based on that, how then do campers go forward to promote for the camp, to tell more people about that? So those were kind of our 3 main things that we were looking at as we went through. And we had different indicators of quality, essentially, of the camp, and we'll talk about those in a little bit, but essentially, one was kind of similar to a flow state, one was the overall delight of the camp, and then the other was perceived value of what they were participating in. So these are the key points that we'll talk about moving forward. Essentially, kind of what were the results as we measured some of these things and talked about, kind of what were the effects of having these immersive worlds. What does this mean for camps, right? I mean, if this is in fact important, then what does this mean moving forward? And also this, I guess the second point is more so like some activities don't necessarily lend themselves well, at least in this specific example or experience, to having immersive worlds, as we'll see, which is a little bit baffling to me. I also wanted, I guess, to back up and give you a little context. So one example, the overarching theme, surprise, surprise, was like Wild Wild West, Texas, of course, right? Expect anything different. But so one of the examples, just to give you a taste of what happened is, so they had a challenge course, right? So the normal challenge course at camp where you climb up the pole, or you go up the cargo net and then slide down the like zip line, right? So the narrative that they set up there was that they were at this Paladero Canyon in Texas, and they had just mined a whole lot of gold. So we had all this gold that they got to take in their little pouches. And we kind of talked about how we were mining gold. They would dig some of it up and they would take it. But then they noticed, or at least the camp counselors who were also dressed up, noticed that there were in hot pursuit some bandits who were coming to get them. And it was really fun. So they had these binoculars. This is fun. It's kind of cheesy, but it was fun. And so on this pole, like quite a ways away, we had put a little army of like green army men at the very top of this pole. So each of the kids would be able to look through their binoculars and see this little army like really far away, heading towards them. And so because of that, they had to escape, right? So they had to climb up this bluff, which was the cargo net. So they climbed up this bluff. They had to secure their gold hook in and then slide across the canyon to safety to get away from these bandits. So that's just to kind of give you an idea of like the narratives that we were talking about. Which I was really proud of these camp counselors, like for people who are not into acting or LARP or any of these things, I was pretty thrilled with what they did. So looking at like how we measured things, so we looked at for the individual experiences, again, these are like the 8 activities that they participated in. So the fishing and riflery, arts and crafts and stuff like that. What was their perceived value and delight during those experiences? In in the new immersive world terms, how those significantly led to higher overall quality, so of the camp overall, which were all significant, and then overall engagement. So this is going into the theory of structured experiences, which we all talk about engagement differently. But in the theory of structured experiences, engagement talks about experiences that include a storyline, which is kind of what we were going for here, creating a narrative. And so an engaging experience, as measured in the theory of structured experiences, is coherent, it's provocative, and it's self-relevant. So that's what we were measuring, is are these experiences or narratives that we created, are they those things, and are they kind of creating a cohesive story? And then we saw that those three things, of those overall camp experiences, led to a higher proclivity to promote. Like the kids were more likely to promote to their family members, to their friends, etc. Which was really good and exciting for them. So this was something that's kind of interesting, and I'll kind of point out, there's a lot of graphs going on here, I apologize. So we looked at this interaction between new immersive worlds and activities, because it's going to vary, right? By activity, it's just a little bit different. So as you can see here, so these purple, so these are the activities down here. There's like crafts, swimming, riflery, etc. And so more often than not, one of these themed or immersive worlds was the best every time. There was only a couple instances here. This is delight, that's perceived value, and this is deep structured experience, which is this state of like effortless concentration where you forget about your time and your worries, and you're just intrinsically motivated to participate. So every time themed experiences or new immersive worlds were better here. Then over here we had some random things with delight, where like the dance activity, and fishing. And then for perceived value, the dance activity. These are the non-immersive world settings, these red ones, that were better. They had higher perceived value and higher delight during the non-immersive world activities. And we have no idea why. I don't know. I mean, I was there for all these activities. It wasn't like the counselors did a bad job that day at telling the narrative. So, to be continued. We're not really sure what's going on. What does this mean for camps? So talking with the camp organization, it was really important, because this is kind of what they wanted to see, like, can we do something with no resources, essentially? So that's kind of this first point, is that we were able to elevate the camp experience a little bit without having to spend a bunch of money. We didn't have to buy like a giant blob for the lake, you know, that you can jump on, or new bikes, or anything crazy. All we had to do was invest a little bit of time. We spent a little bit of money on props, and then just a couple hours of training. And we're able to get what I thought were really cool results or outcomes. This was something that was kind of interesting, because there were a couple of counselors who weren't very interested in getting into character, right? Playing the sheriff, or playing a bandit, or something like that. So when looking for camp counselors, that was something that we recommended for this year, is that they kind of be intentional about who they hire and some of the things that they're interested in. And then again, just thinking about the competitive nature of the market. Something to look for next year that we want to look at, or this summer, I guess, is really comparing camps maybe that do spend more money. And is that actually better? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. So that's something that we want to continue to look for. So just to kind of wrap up, we found that new immersive worlds do yield higher quality experiences for campers, both on an individual activity level, on an overall camp experience, and also towards promoting and helping bring more people into the camp situation. A couple of limitations is that, I mean, we didn't use, this is like for very whatever academic people, but we didn't like use random assignment with our camps. I would have liked to use more camps. I mean, we have 2 or 3 camps per manipulation, which would have been great, but we just didn't really have the time for this one. And there's lots of things I'd like to do moving forward. Like next year, I'd like to help them maybe create their own characters within these worlds, right, with the kids, instead of just saying, okay, you are like a camper, but you're in this wild west. But have them create characters and start to incorporate more LARP elements to create an even more immersive experience for them. Hopefully that will continue to elevate the quality of their campus.